Where are you based, Christopher?
Atlanta, Georgia.
You're Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Is that, because CNN's there, is that the right place for a next media company to be?
It's funny you say that because we view the big media companies in Atlanta as missing out on opportunity, while we're there building very small, a startup with what I would describe as innovative media. So, yeah, it is the right place to be. There's a lot of good tax credit programs in Atlanta that incentivize media to be created there. A lot of research and development happens there. And in all, I think it's a great place for us as well.
Bucktown or Atlanta?
Atlanta. Yeah.
Well, take us for a ride. Thanks a lot for being here.
Yeah. Hello. My name is Christopher Travers. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Offbeat Media Group. And today I'm here to introduce you to the concept of a virtual influencer. This is a new concept that's very nascent but emerging and will have a major role in the future. So my goals for today are simple. I'd like to introduce myself, of course, and then talk about the progression of media and discuss how we got here today. And then I want to define what is a virtual influencer, right? What is that concept? Next, I'd like to introduce you to some of the key players in the space, and then perhaps we could meet a virtual influencer, Zero, as I showed you on the last slide. And then finally, I want to openly discuss what I think is coming next and how you can prepare and act. So a little bit about myself first. Hello, my name is Christopher Travers. My whole life, I've either consumed, researched, or built virtual experiences, which has led me to some of my current interests, such as the PFP craze, currently striking the world. And by PFP craze, that's profile picture. For those of you who don't know, this is my profile picture that I've been repping for about a year and a half now. And then the second photo, this is actually me using virtual reality to do work on a desktop, like actually consuming a computer in virtual reality and going throughout my work throughout the day. And then finally, here on the right is a piece of augmented fashion. That shirt you see there does not exist in the physical world. It costs about $30 USD, and I own that shirt. So, yeah, that's me. I've come from a background building pseudonymous and anonymous media experiences. Ever since I was in college, I actually left college to focus full-time on the creation of social media apps that attracted hundreds of thousands of users on this idea of expressing yourself through an alternate identity, through either anonymity or through a handle where you knew that this individual was nearby you, perhaps on your campus, but you didn't know who they were, and you were still able to express yourself fully and connect with them. And so that has led to me building multiple synonymous media companies, working at venture capital firms such as Atlanta Ventures, and now co-founding Offbeat Media Group. So at Offbeat Media Group, we're building media for the digital generation. And the simplest way of putting that is we're trying to build very innovative media that is relevant today on social in a massive way. So what's coming next? That's how we think about it. Also in this, I built virtualhumans.org, which is the leading source of information on this industry. I was very bothered by the amount of news going out about the virtual influencer space that only mentioned the top few virtual beings. And I noticed that there were maybe 100 or so out there that went largely underreported. So I took it upon myself to aggregate the information that I had learned through my deep research, start to write interviews, news, and of course research to publish. So you can enjoy that at virtualhumans.org, take a look. So let's talk about the progression of media and how we got here. Did you know that today, this month, we're nearing 7.9 billion people on this planet, and 6.4 billion of those people are smartphone users. And then of those smartphone users, nearly 4 billion use social media. So remember that 7.9 billion number. Almost half of the planet now uses social media. That's a major craze, and it's increasing year over year. Further, advertising dollars are surging towards $400 billion spent on digital advertising alone. We flipped television in recent years. We passed over 50% of digital, all ad spend is now digital, over 50%. So what we're seeing is the TV era is getting left behind. On that note, take the cast of Friends, right? This cast of Friends they're celebrities, on television. People knew their stories, watched their show religiously. But with platform shifts come interest shifts. And so as we shifted from television to social media to dominant social platforms, interest shifted as well to the celebrities that we follow. So take now the Kardashians, who lead the way with hundreds of millions of followers each on Instagram. They are what I would say the craze of 5 years ago, though. And so when Instagram gets disrupted, so do the celebrities get disrupted. And we see shifts happen where now TikTok is the dominant app used, and the D'Amelio twins are some of the top influencers on this platform. So with platform shifts comes interest shifts, and the idea of who a celebrity is shifts as well. It becomes more micro, it becomes more personal. And I want to answer the question, and I think about this a lot, is who are going to be the celebrities of tomorrow in the metaverse, right? When we enter the metaverse and we're trying to find the influencers that we look up to and that we consume the media of, there's a big question mark here. Who will be those personas and what form will they take? So if you think about the platforms that are emerging like Roblox, Fortnite, Sandbox, Decentraland, the common thread with a lot of these platforms, and of course, Meta, the common thread is that you're personifying an avatar in these spaces, right? So the celebrities of tomorrow will inherently adopt an avatar persona as well to connect with those audiences. Because we're not going to see human media on these platforms. You do not see human media on these emerging platforms. And so when these platforms become the disruptors that everyone uses, it's not going to be a human that is our future celebrity, right? So here I am actually interviewing a virtual human in this photo. And we'll talk more about that later. What is a virtual influencer? Key question to be answered here. That's a virtual influencer. How many people actually recognize this individual? Could I see a raise of hands? I see a few hands out there. You should know who this is. This is little Michaela, or Michaela Sousa. She's a virtual being, and her friend there is also virtual too. Made in CGI, made famous on Instagram, followed by millions. This too is a virtual influencer, right? Barbie might be way more relatable than Michaela. Started as a doll, was digitized and virtualized, and now influences as a YouTuber. Every single day, you can go to her YouTube channel right now and see her streaming. This too is an influencer, a virtual influencer. Believe it or not, nobody sausage. Guess how many followers this thing has on TikTok? It's over 10 million. So this sausage has more influence than me, that's for sure. So they come in all shapes and sizes, these beings, these virtual characters. And what you're looking at is just the top, the top few on the site. And we're going to dive deeper into some of these personalities later for you. But really, the definition that I've concluded over my years of research in this space is that a virtual influencer is a character given a personality on social media. And they don't break away from that personality. So what this really means is, if you can write a fictional story using a character and you post it on social media as if that character believes they are human and believes they are real, and you never break from that, in effect, this character is the same thing as a human in a digital medium. Because I don't know Kim Kardashian. I've never met Kim Kardashian. I probably will never meet Kim Kardashian. But when I look at her Instagram, for all intents and purposes, I can derive an idea of what her life is like. I can also go to that sausage's Instagram, though, and derive what their life is like. And that is influence. That is a neutral medium. But what do all these virtual influencers have in common? Like, why are they writing stories? What are they building towards? What's coming next? You have to think about what is coming next is this idea that a being, a robot perhaps, could adopt the same mindset of a human someday. This has been theorized heavily. It's AI, right? This idea that a character could someday become sentient. And so virtual influencers have all achieved scripted sentience, We are writing for the future where this virtual influencer believes it is real to the point that someday I won't have to write those storylines anymore, and the being themselves will take on their own influential form in social media. And that's distant. That's so distant, what I'm describing. But knowing that that is distant, knowing that that is an inevitability, we can also know that these fictional influencers will be relevant every day, and increasingly so, until that day is achieved. So we're really building a virtual connection. Here's another interview I did with a virtual influencer. I've spoken with over 30 virtual influencers, actually, in full interview. So really what we're building here and where we are in this stage is we started with the physical layer, which is just reality. It's what we are here today. And then we added connection through radio and television. And atop of this, we built a two-way layer, which is the internet, the web, right? And so we've started to build two-way exchanges. You can consume content from other people, react, all these things. But it's still 2D. So we're moving now into the next layer, and the next space race, you could call it, is the metaverse, right? And I really like to think about the metaverse like a space race. We needed a space race, right? Social was getting very saturated. There's no new major platforms that emerge without tons of money behind them, and I'm referring to the growth of TikTok. So how do you flip the whole idea of social on its head? Is you go and you add another layer to the stack, which is this virtual layer. Again, funded by lots of money. If you've seen, Facebook plans to spend a lot of money. Meta plans to spend a lot of money on this. So they're forcing a new future that they're going to own, where we're going to interface with each other in a virtual world. And then next after that is going to come, okay, now that we're interfacing with each other, who else can we interface with? How can we make interfacing even easier? And then once that's achieved, where we're talking to friends who you could say don't exist in the physical world, but we actually really have faith in them and belief in them, where do you go from there, right? I think it starts to look like biohacking, perhaps, right? Figuring out ways where you don't actually have to leave your house, where Uber Eats and Instacart really dominate the world, right? So let's talk about some of the key players in this space. You may know the world record egg, right? This is the world record egg. His name is actually Eugene. He beat out one of the Kardashians for the most liked photo on Instagram a few years back, and ever since then has been posting about his life on social media. Here are a couple other virtual influencers in the 2D medium. You see Hatsune Miku, a global pop star who is $1 billion asset. Hatsune Miku is an open source, early example of what it means if you give your fans full control and ownership of the story. Hatsune Miku, anyone can make content with her, they can make music with her, they can do anything they want. They can sell merchandise of her, they can launch concerts of her. There's so much that you can do, and by giving that freedom and control to fans, she has gone massively viral ever since 2007. And so in the premise of a decentralized mindset, this right here, I think, is going to be a key example of what it means for a community to run a character. There's also the 3D medium. We have talked extensively about this sausage, but there's also Nunuri, who is loved by brands. So many fashion brands have sponsored her to post on social media about their brand in very beautiful content, right? People are immersed in her storyline and immersed in those brands that are working with her, this virtual, non-existent girl. She has hundreds of thousands of followers. There's also, of course, the humans, which represent probably the most curiosity in the space, like Lou of Magalu. Lou has over 50 million fans across social media, 98% of which are in Brazil. She is like the Amazon Smile of Brazil. Magalu is an app that allows you to shop online. When you open the app, the icon you see is Magalu's face. When you go to Magalu.com, you see her on the top bar. So this virtual being now represents that brand so strongly and so with such immersion in Brazil that she has really disrupted what it means to be a famous virtual being. Now, of course, the animals, there's so many of these out there. The gecko gecko is like a great example, I don't know what else there's to say about the gecko gecko other than he is infamous, helping you save 15% or more on car insurance, and that is not an advertisement, right? But Squeaky and Roy here is actually fascinating to me. The D'Amelio twins made Squeaky and Roy. The D'Amelio twins recognize that they can capitalize on their own influence, create virtual influence, these alter egos that can then shift their fandom, and someday if the D'Amelios become irrelevant, they successfully shifted their fandom to this virtual being and carry relevance through those characters ongoing. And you see this done in other ways, such as when a celebrity launches a book, or maybe tries to get into acting for a bit, or launches a liquor. There's all sorts of ways that celebrities try to turn themselves into these mechs, right? These brandable mechs. And the future of influence, I believe, will be virtual in this example being a great one. So these are these icons that people are creating, trying to understand, like, who will be the next celebrity of tomorrow? But today we're scripting sentience. So how about we meet a virtual influencer? Let me tell you about this character, Zero. We've been developing Zero for some time now. We've been heads down, working very hard, trying to really redefine the medium that you consume. There are hundreds of virtual influencers in the photo medium. 6 years ago, there were like under 10. Today, there are under 10 influencers that are 3D in video as a virtual being. And I see that in the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to see hundreds more. There are also VTubers who are anime, but full 3D immersive. How about we call Zero in here? Hey, Zero.
Hey, is this thing working? Can you hear me?
Hey, Zero, yes, it's Christopher. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Christopher, I'm good here. It's so great to see all of you. You all look you look just like people. See, that's the thing. I'm still trying to figure out what I am. So I've been watching people who look just like you on this thing called the internet. See, I woke up in this huge room the other day without a single memory of how I got here. And I've been trying to figure out what or who I am. While I was on the internet, I stumbled across this human thing called the blockchain. And it sort of just led me to this page called Blockchain World. Wondering what a world of blocks and chains actually looked like, I clicked and popped up here a few minutes ago, right before all of these humans arrived. You told me to hold on for a minute, and here we are. So, as you would say, how are you, Christopher?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm at Blockchain World right now, actually. So, how about you tell everyone a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Hello, world. My name is Zero. I'm not entirely sure how I ended up here, but I already know one thing. This bunker is absolutely insane. After waking up, I was a little bit freaked out, but this place is actually really cool. There are plenty of rooms that I've only just begun to explore, and I can't wait to see what they're all about. The bunker also came pre-installed with this thing called Wi-Fi, which allows me to communicate with the internet from anywhere within the bunker. It's really cool. Do you have Wi-Fi where you're from?
Yes, we have Wi-Fi. So what else are you up to today?
Well, my first priority is to find out who I am. I have so many questions about that. Where did I come from? How did I get here? My second priority is to figure out what's going on with this huge, spinning, glowing portal in the middle of the room. When I first woke up here, it sort of came to life and spit out this object from it, and it's starting to act up again lately. I'm wondering if I need to worry about what's gonna pop out next. I tried to escape through the elevator, but none of the buttons worked, so it looks like I gotta figure out how to get that working as well. And there are cameras. Cameras everywhere in here. I think somebody is watching me.
Really?
No, I swear. Let me show you. Right here. It has a red light on it, and it rotates and makes noise. And there's even ones over. Oh no!
Well, I'll have to check back on Zero later, see how he's doing. But that is an example of the type of media we're creating at Offbeat and the type of media that's coming down the pipeline, I believe, that's going to really define the experiences of the future. Virtual-driven humans or animated humans that captivate you in the same way that a human being might, actually offloading the pressure of a human ego, you could say, onto a team of creatives or an individual who maintains their anonymity and can become a celebrity without the social pressure of being a forward-facing figure. So really, let's really discuss what is next. As it's important to know that that creation is the creation of a team of very experienced people, right? We've been working very hard in collaboration in our studios in Atlanta. But we're seeing more and more as, what we achieved with this is because of technology shifts. And the technology is shifting even harder and faster towards individual creators being able to create experiences much like this. What that really means for the future, if you think about the trends in blockchain, the trends in Web3, specifically NFTs and avatar ownership, these trends are going to converge. The expression of self as a virtual being on social media with the futuristic mediums such as virtual beings in video, as these two trends come together, everyone will be an avatar someday online, and you will have full ownership of self. So you start to think about these 10,000 PFPs, or as degen hobbies, I guess as they've been called, and you wonder, is rarity the only thing that makes that NFT more valuable than the next, right? How do you take a floor ape, or from the Bored Ape Yacht Club, an ape that's worth 50 ETH today, that is considered at the cheapest you can buy in, how do you take that concept and make your floor ape worth one of the most valuable apes, in the whole batch? It starts to come down to expression. It starts to come down to how you take that piece of IP that you own and then place value, celebrity value, behind that image. And you can do that in so many ways. This is just one of the examples. So what we're going to see as more and more PFP projects come into the works and more people acquire NFTs for their social media avatars, they're going to seek new ways to express themselves as that being. Further, while the virtual worlds emerge, they're going to want to take their persona into the virtual world, because you can't really be yourself in virtual reality other than perhaps a stylized version of self. But I don't want to be myself in virtual reality. I would love to explore all the NFTs out there, perhaps, find a rarity trait that I love, such as a hat or a bow tie or whatever it may be, adopt that persona by purchasing it, and then wear it everywhere I go in the metaverse, right? But it goes back to expression of that NFT and placing value behind it. Is how do you make this NFT the most valuable it can possibly be? And I like to tell you the story of Jenkins the Valet. How many people have heard of Jenkins the Valet here? Okay, well, Jenkins the Valet is a Bored Ape, which is an NFT that someone has purchased from the Bored Ape Yacht Club. There are only 10,000 of them. Hopefully you're familiar with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but they effectively own this persona. There's nothing intrinsically special about this Bored Ape, but they made it special by adopting a pseudonymous name to that Bored Ape. I don't know the number of the Bored Ape, but it's like Bored Ape 1052, for example. But he doesn't go by Bored Ape 1052. He now goes by Jenkins the Valet, and he has put lots of effort, whoever he or she may be, into creating Jenkins the Valet into this lovable personality who has a storyline, who has stakes that raise, who has emotion. And by converting a typical image into a human storyline, he has increased the value of that Bored Ape significantly, even launching his own NFT projects that people are buying into. So the trend is adoption of persona online and becoming pseudonymous and accepting ego death on social media. Instagram told us to be egocentric. How can we now be humble? And so I believe in the metaverse, we're going to see way more expression of self through avatars, which is going to take the pressure off of showcasing your personal items, wealth in the physical world, and instead our virtual assets are going to be the most valuable things we own. Our virtual goods will be the most valuable things we own. So that's why the NFT craze is so fascinating, because you can buy into virtual goods today that have value, and you can hold those, utilize those in new ways in the metaverse, and whatever it may be. So the future for us is building more zeros, building one. Who could one be, right? Interfacing 0 and 1 in storylines, intermixing narratives, launching on more social platforms, pursuing more fans, giving fans ownership of the storylines, and giving fans an identity in the metaverse as well. So we're really trying to push the edge. I believe we're doing it today, doing it well, still pushing it further. But if you'd like to know more about virtual influencers, go to virtualhumans.org or connect with me on LinkedIn. I post a lot about this stuff right there, like multiple times a week if you'd like to learn more. Also tomorrow at 11:30, I'll be in the Helicon studio having a fireside chat followed by an open Q&A for an hour. So if you'd like to learn more about this, come by the Helicon studio tomorrow, and I'll be there to answer your questions.
Christopher, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Talk about Hello Kitty.
Oh, yeah.
Because theoretically, Hello Kitty started this. We didn't know the persona. We learned about, we don't know who the creators were. We kind of do later on. But Hello Kitty was kind of the first iteration of this, wasn't it?
Yes, early on, certainly. Actually, I would love to talk about even Gabba Girl. Are you familiar with the Gabba Girl?
No.
Gabba Girl was a mannequin that someone dragged around in the 30s around New York and would go on dates with this soap mannequin, and unironically would hang out with her, talk to her, dress her up, and she eventually became a cover girl on Time, I believe. She was on the cover of Time, and she became a celebrity in the 30s. This girl, this doll or mannequin, non-existent being, because somebody applied reality to that non-existent being, to the point that it had social impact and social relevance in the real world. And that's really valuable. The same applies to what Hello Kitty has accomplished.
So when we look at deepfakes moving forward, how can this affect this space?
Deepfakes affect
well,
our
because
space?
I could create a deepfake of you, which theoretically can become now an avatar that doesn't represent who you are.
Certainly. Actually, I believe there's a business opportunity, if anyone's in law out there, to copyright your image and get people lined up copywriting their image maybe every year to protect identity. But I think those are already in place, and perhaps we could certify that using the blockchain.
People want to find out more, where do they go?
Virtualhumans.org, or connect with me on LinkedIn, Christopher Travers. Thank you so much.
And make sure tomorrow you see Christopher's interview. Thank you very much, Christopher.
Yeah, thank you.
Christopher Travers coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia in the United States.